Right, welcome to this practice of the Sylvan warrior, where we're focusing on finding length in the body, coupled with the sequencing practice to follow through. Right, this is midway through the week, so it's essentially a little hump day reward, right? Because after the workshop, right, we have our 2 days, which is strength, range of motion, which can be quite tough, and then we have this, which is certainly more restorative in nature, right? We really tap into that hatha style where we have that 3 breath holds, and we spend time and focusing on true release of the nervous system, right? Because when we release our nervous system, we release our soft tissue, right? It's an interrelated system. Now, as a reminder for the particular breathing and time intervals, right? I'm looking for 3 breaths, right? And we're measuring 3 breaths by 3 seconds in, a pause, 3 seconds out, and a pause, right? So roughly that time interval per posture is the general construct and framework for the breath. And I encourage you to count your numbers, right? So when you inhale for 3, right? 1, 2, 3, and feel it, really feel the freshness, the coolness. So this is like from moment to moment, anchoring back into presence. And if you practice it, it really has a powerful effect on grounding, right? And shifting back into presence in your practice. And the last thing is we'll be using our blocks to support our practice, so have them ready for you. We'll begin in a 4-point base. Spiral this way. All right, so from a 4-point base, we're finding an easy transition to our down dog, right? I want to keep this practice soft, right? So generous bend in the knees, almost like shifting to a child's pose as you rock back to find length in the upper trunk. Now with this generous bend in the knees, right, you can begin kneading out through the heels, right? So taking a few moments here and a bit more organic, right, before we move into a more fixed construct, right? So settle into your down dog. Now, begin rooting through right heel. Right, the top of the left foot binds over the right Achilles. Now find the sweet spot of how much tension and sensation you feel. And I'm going to begin 3 cycles of breath. Remember to count, really helps. Yeah, and as you exit, switching out, now rooting through the left heel, right, top of the right foot binds, and you found this melt in the upper trunk. And begin this anchoring and presence practice. And rooting through both heels. It's okay to round up a spine a little bit here. I'm not looking for incredibly strict, as long as you're feeling sensation in the back line of the legs. Right, we're here for 3 cycles. Rocking onto the left foot. Strong dorsiflexion of the right toes. As you walk, right, that right foot in about a foot. Now rooting through that right heel, capture the Achilles with the left foot again. And we'll spend 3 cycles of breath here. So shifting a little more weight out of the hands and into that leg.
right? Switching the rooting heel and noticing your quality of mind. Has it escaped your awareness, right? Or are you present to the subtleties? Right? And there's a constant invitation back into presence and out of our habitual thinking. Good. A final 3 breaths here. I know your upper trunk's probably speaking to you and you're feeling some fatigue, but final narrowed down dog here, right? Rooting through the heels, extend the legs as much as you can. Final 3 breaths. That's a very active position. Good. Now, dorsiflex the left toes and rock in, stepping in about halfway between the feet and the hands. Right, setting up for a forward fold. All right, feet to hip width distance. I want you to find first a ragdoll interlace. And now with this interlace, truly allow the upper trunk and neck to become heavy. Right, even think about bending through the legs, completely melting upper trunk. And with that traction in the spine, look for length in the back line of the legs. Yeah, releasing the hands. Right, finding a half flat back. Continue to find even more extension through the back line. Right, so creating this cow architecture. Right, hands can be based on the thighs or the shins. Now, from this back line engagement, then you begin to hinge, looking for sensation in the back line of the legs. Right, very active style of forward fold. Good, bending through the knees, right, connecting trunk and thighs. Right, palms press right in front of the toes, right, now for a palm press forward fold. Wiggle the head so the ears kiss the biceps, gazing between the legs. Now lean into the hands, bending them in as much as you need to in the legs to find this, once again, this like pressing, this handstand press forward fold, right? 3 cycles. Right, you can rock into the hands, into the feet to play with intensity. And as you bend through the knees, reaching for your blocks. Right, heel toe the feet together. Left toes slide back, right, nice and long as you lower into your low lunge. All right, have your blocks in the high setting to begin. Right, actually heel toe the heel in front of the knee. Right, so we work knee over toes for mobility. Now we're working knee behind toes for our length in the body. Right, so finding a slight angle forward with the shin. Using blocks to support at whatever level you need to for your practice. Let's point through the back toes, focusing on length here. Now, strong posterior tilt. Really drive the pelvis towards that lead heel. And we'll begin our 3 cycles of breath. All right, that's your 3rd breath. you rock back, flexing toes towards you, the lead toes. All right, let's stay on a high level first, right? I want you to experience first a stricter split leg where you're finding a strong back line, even like a cowl architecture. Then you're hinging sternum towards the toes. All right, neck remains relaxed. And then we begin our 3 breaths. All right, equal eversion and inversion of the toes, right? So square toes. Good. As you rise, rock back, all right, into the lead leg. Spinning 3 more breaths here in your low lunge. Right, strong posterior tilt. Remember, if you can even walk that lead heel outwards slightly. Really set the blocks to have a little bit of support to decrease intensity. Good. Now draw the lead ankle underneath the knee. Right, shift slightly out of the hips. I want you to curl the back toes under. All right, use your hamstring to peel in that heel towards the sit bone. All right, now from here, you can choose which hand. I'm going to spiral over towards the right hand to the left block and reach for the ankle. Right, I'm still in a strong dorsiflexion here and kicking into that hand, right, while there's a subtle pull of heel towards the sit bone. Now, once you feel that sensation in the quad, and you can look for the melt of the hips towards the heel, or the lead heel. Right, if you get to a point where you feel no sensation in the quad, right, you can of course adjust your grip to draw the heel even closer towards the sit bone. And begin to release. All right, draw the heel into the sit bone, and then find your slow reconnection of the toes. As we rock back, our final round of half splits on the side. All right, finding extension in the spine first, right, reaching through the crown of the head forward, and perhaps finding depth. Hips are square and not offset to either side. Good. As you rock forward, taking your blocks with you. Left foot steps and meets the right. Right, feet are connected for just a different variation of your forward fold here. All right, starting with our ragdoll, 3 cycles. Now this cycle, as we're warmed up slightly, I want you to feel what it's like to engage your core to drive the elbows towards the toes. All right, so learning how to actually recruit muscles to lengthen the back line. Good. As you rise, find extension in the spine. Right, strong anterior tilt. Right, you're not hyperextending to the legs. There's a micro bend, and with that extension in the spine, you're looking for the hinge forward. Right, so no point are we curving and rounding. Not that it's wrong. It's just a different intentional focus. Good. Move the blocks away from you. Find your palm press forward fold, right? So heels based just in front of the toes, ears towards the biceps. Lean into the hands and find your press and activation. Good. As you rise, find your blocks. Left toes smear and extend back. Nice and long. And low lunge. Right toes, excuse me. If I just say left. Getting that yoga brain. So back toes are pointed. Right heel toeing the lead heel, just slightly forward of that knee for more sensation. Right, blocks are here to support you. All right, strong posterior tilt and shift into the space. And just checking in, where is your mind? Right, have you let it escape you to conditioned thinking? What's next? What's happening? Analysis, right? Projection. Can you train yourself, especially now in this particular style of embodiment, right, to focus on presence, what's occurring right here, right now. Good, rocking back, half splits. Right, finding your levels in the block. Right, once you find your sweet spot, you breathe and soften into it. Right, very little movements. Right, just embracing that discomfort. Right, as you rock forward, back into your low lunge. Right, make your micro adjustments to get that heel forward of the knee. Notice if you're creating an anterior tilt and spilling the hip bone forward, right, shift out of it, scoop posterior tilt, and then rock forward into this. Good. Shift slightly out of this. Left hand, base is on the right block. Right toe is curled under. Right? Right heel to sit bone. Active range of motion here. And then you go for that reach. Right, looking for that quad stretch without feeling any sensation on the knee. Right? If you are, release the tension. Maybe you need a strap. Right? That's going to give you that bit more space to still stretch your quad. Right? So finding your variation. And of course, different sides can have different depths, and it's important to honor that. And as you release, all right, squaring back up, rock back to close off with a half split. As you rebend to the left leg, all right, take your blocks with you, stepping forward into your forward fold. All right, so now step your left toes back. All right, we're setting up for a wide leg forward fold. I'm just going to spin around so my crown faces you for that. All right, starting here with blocks in highest height. right? Slight internal rotation of the toes, right? Fine adjustment where you're not too long, not too short. Right? Experiment with that. Extension in the spine, right? Activation in the legs, micro bend. Then we look for depth, right? So very active variation here. You can use the blocks to support if you need. Good. As we spiral, taking the blocks with you over towards the left, right? Both toes face the left, right? Pyramid pose. Now, bend through that lead leg. Connect and pull your spine through over the thigh, right? Like you're spilling over the knee. Relax your neck. Now begin to glide back and extend through the left leg. Only to the point where you don't lose connection of the thigh and chest. 3 breaths. Good. Let's rock forward into a low lunge. Taking your blocks with you, spiraling on the feet. Placing the blocks right in the middle. This time, looking for interlace wide leg forward fold. With this ragdoll architecture, we really want to soften as much as we can the upper trunk and allow gravity to pull. Actively create an anterior tilt. Engage your core to drive the elbows down towards the mat. I notice the balance in the feet. Are you in the toes? Are you on the heels? Can you be neutral? Good. As we release and rise, reaching for your blocks, we spiral over towards the right. Taking that generous bend, find that connection, creating traction here, pulling the spine through and over the knee, relaxing the neck as you extend the leg, shift back. Good. As you rock forward, back into lunge, right? Carrying your blocks the entire time. Right here for our final ragdoll forward fold. If you want to go for some sort of bind, right, using the ground as extra leverage for you, you can go ahead. Right, so finding some sort of wide leg forward fold for the final 3 breaths. Right, ensuring that you're not hyperextending the legs, the most important part here. Good. As we reframe the ground, we rise. Right, reaching for your blocks, establish them at highest height, right? Hip width distance right underneath you. Begin sliding on the heels, out laterally, right? Externally rotate the toes towards the ceiling, and working until that edge, right? Not hyperextending the legs, micro bend, and you're working for depth here for 3 cycles. That's your 3rd cycle. Transitioning to a seated wide leg forward fold. However you get there. Good. All right, now setting the blocks up on a high height. Medium high height, right? So choose an adventure and see how it works for your body. But first and foremost, anterior tilt, right? Extension through the spine. Soft feet here, soft toes. No need to find any activation here. You're going to find plenty sensation with passive feet. Now with that length and extension, you're looking for some sort of construct folding forward in the space. Good. As you rise, spiraling over left leg. Right hand reaches to the outer thigh, depending on your flexibility. Maybe it's the outer calf or foot. And you use that as leverage to square up the shoulders over that left leg. All right, now looking for this square fold over the left leg for 3 breaths. Good, we rise. And taking 3 breaths through the middle again. Right, perhaps lowering a level or even removing the blocks, right, depending where you are. Good, as we rise, finding that left hand bind somewhere in the right leg, looking for that spiral rotation in the spine and folding forward with square shoulders. Good, as we rise. Right, 3 more breaths through the middle. Notice if this is getting a bit too intense and you're just overly going deeper without the body calling you deeper, right? It's okay to be at the same level, not every time go through a deeper level. Right, so pay attention to the sensations and be honest with that. Right? You're now spiraling over towards the left. Find our elbow to inner thigh connection to begin. Right, you want to think about lifting and rolling the ribs on the inside of the thigh. Right, so feel that rotation. Now with that, think about stacking the shoulders, right, and reaching that upper arm overhead towards the toes. Right, if you're quite a long way like me, right, it's okay to kind of reach and cup the head and reach energetically through that elbow. You're going to create plenty of length and tension. Right, left arm, I like to reach it towards right leg. And here you're finding depth. Good. As we release, we spiral through center. Find that elbow inner thigh connection opposite side. Right. Placing the ribs on the inside, stacking the shoulders to find your reach. And as you release through center, our final 3 breaths in our pancake. Perhaps it's the deepest. Maybe you're tapping back because it's too much, right? So be honest with your practice. Let's close off with some pancake. Good, as you rise up, it's a cup behind the knees. My favorite part here always as you draw the heels in towards each other and find this little butterfly rolling out through the hips. I like to wiggle the perineum towards the heels as you actively drive the knees open away from each other. And encourage little wiggles and squirms as you reset. Good, now you can move the blocks over to the side. And to transition to a half Gomukhasana. Now what I mean by that is shift over onto the right hip. Right? Left foot is going to forward step. Right? Right leg fully extends and you're going to spiral in into like a half forward fold. Here we're finding that Gomukhasana here. So you're looking to stack through the knees and wiggle that heel towards the sit bone. And we're finding this single leg forward fold with this hip opening. All right, so find your position. And here, rather than extension to the spine, actually, from a high position, curl into yourself and forehead towards the knee. And so a very rounded position. This is going to open more to the fascia of especially the upper trunk. Good, as we rise, we rock onto that right hip, right, to fold the lead leg, back step, to neutral, right, seat position. Left foot kind of threads through the window. As you forward step the right, left leg fully extends. You know, a single leg forward fold with this half Gomukhasana variation. So kind of settling in. And once again, you can actually round forward in this space. Now with this one, I do want active toes. So flex the toes in towards your forehead, kicking through the heel. So create more sensation for you. Alright, as we rise, right, shifting back onto the left hip. Oh, scissor switch, upright seated. Now, from upright seated, we're in perfect position to shift to the right side in our S-seat configuration. Alright, so here working our S-seat pigeon, right, and as in the workshop, rather than folding over the shin, we're looking to fold over the foot. This is going to make it a bit more intense. Right, less intense with the heel in when the heel's closer towards your sit bone. It gets more and more intense the kind of longer you are. Right, so find your sweet spot, cup the foot, actively drive the foot away laterally to the right, and kind of settle in and find your sweet spot of external rotation. Good, let's rise. Left leg, forward steps. All right, so all the way in the outer, the top of the right thigh. Right, first variation, let's work fire log, right? So you may be quite tight and looking for depth of this upper knee, right? External rotation. If you have the range of motion, of course, you're looking for a stacking here of the knees and the legs. Good, as we rise, shifting into our Gomukhasana, right? Cow face. Now, what that looks like is a stacking of the knees on top of each other, at least in that direction as much as you can, and looking to root through both sit bones. Right, so find your sensations and fold. As you rise, top leg, back step, a seat. A seat, switcherooski, opposite side. Sitting up for your pigeon. So I like to open the angle, right? So it's more of a 90-90, and then looking for that chest towards arch of the foot. As you rise, right leg forward step. You bind the ankle on top of the thigh to fold that knee open. Right, looking for your fire log pose here. Right, stacking the shins. And remember, this work is less explorative and just more about shifting right into that tension, holding, feeling, and surrendering. As much as you want to move and squirm, right? That's a different style of movement and exploration. Good. As you rise and release, shifting into your Gomukhasana, stacking through the knees. Good. As we rise, back step into a seated cross-leg position. And let's begin our sequencing practice for the week. So moving to our sequencing, right? So shift yourself to the back of the mat, finding a cross-leg position, right? So, and we're going to travel that way. All right. So I'm going to be traveling up towards the camera, right, in this line. So a starting position was a cross leg. Remember, we worked with this as actually a really strong position of potential, of movement potential in all different directions, right? Even though it's such a stoic seated position. So
let's begin our sequence, right? So shift over, finding our figure 4. Figure 4, like a low cartwheel kick if you want to find that kick, or you just find this little forward step into our warrior's base. We spiral, air seat, forward step, right, facing the back of the mat where you just traveled, setting up for your dragon squat. Right. If you have it, remember the other variation was into your squat. So you shift, perhaps the left leg can extend, the right leg can extend, then you rebend the right, spiral and extend through both legs. As you spin 180 degrees there, right? Notice that little subtlety. Now back toes kiss. All right, back knee lowers, rock back into our half splits. All right, just one breath here as you inhale, exhale. Rock forward. Arms circle laterally overhead. We find this depth in the hips here. Hands to prayer as they draw towards the sternum. Right hand bases on the inside of the left foot. As we spiral, left toes out laterally for our lateral lizard. Really find that sensation length through the right side body. As we find that length, then we lower into the hip, contract into our Gomukhasana. So actively wiggle and draw the knees to stack. All right, the hands can rebase the arches of the feet as you look to root through both heels. All right, so just one breath here. Top leg, back step, right bottom leg extends to a low pistol entry facing the back of the mat where we started traveling from, right? Now, use hands if you need to, but get tight in that left heel to the sit bone as you perhaps can rock into your narrow lunge, supported, unsupported. Now we spiral into our kneeling position, squat. Activate your squat. Now find either a single knee tap, right, meeting in our camel. Right, as we shift and hinge through the hips, rock back, through our active squat. Active squat, we spiral facing down the line. Perfectly setting us up for a contralateral gorilla. You widen the base, fit the arms in between those two positions, and we find 3 contralateral gates. All right, pause with the right leg forward. Reframe that lead leg. Left leg extends back. All right, low lunge. Lead with the right toes. We spiral towards the left. Low drop stance. Finding depth. Activation motion through the hips. As the sit bone kisses, heel draws forward, sitting up for our warrior's base. Elbow through the midline. Reopen that hip. Spiral into the right foot as you spiral up, staying low here. Glide across. Low drop stance, opposite side. Find that depth here. Now, spiraling over towards the left. Right toes step in, shin to Achilles. And here we go, right? Creating a little butt spin spiral facing the opposite direction. And we'll begin the other side. If you need to readjust yourself, right, do that now. Otherwise, let's begin. Shifting figure 4. Figure 4, low kick, air seat spin, forward step into our dragon squat entry. All right, lean into it, extend that left leg. Rebend left if you need to extend right, spiral 180 degrees into our split leg forward fold. Now, bend the base foot or leg to reach the left toes back. Kiss the knee as you glide back. Flex the toes in, half split. Take a moment here. As you rock forward, arms circle laterally. Right, palms reach out and press. Hands through the midline, thumbs to the sternum. Good. Left hand bases. Spiraling with the toes, lengthening through the left side body. Feel yourself lengthening through the IT band. All right, now contract and spiral and sit in, finding your cow face. All right, stacking the knees over each other and reaching the hands to the arches. Find your wiggle here for a breath. Good. Top leg, back step, subtle butt spin here. Left leg extends. Right heel as tight as you can towards your sit bone to either no hand or supported transition to your narrow lunge. Narrow lunge, we spiral, active squat, active squat. Right, a little knee rock, or excuse me, toe rock to kiss the knees into a camel. All right, staying here for the inhale and find expansion. And then we exit. All right, finding our active squat, spiraling over towards the right, contralateral gorilla, right? So insert the hands, finding your contralateral gate for 3 locomotive steps. All right, pausing, left foot, the lead leg. Right leg steps back as you reframe the front foot. Lead with the toes as we spiral over to the right. Low drop stance, active range of motion here. We feel that descent. Heel slides towards the midline as you find your warrior's bridge. Over through the midline. Open the heel. Spiral up, stay low, glide across. Continue that spiral. Step the left toes in and spiraling in to our seated cross-legged from whence we began. And that was the basic framework. This is an opportunity for you. No cueing from me. Move through the sequencing. We'll move through it together, myself and Emily, at a normal speed without any cueing. Feel free to move with us. And let's get into it. Readjust yourself if you need to. And a little bit of self-practice time. Enjoy. All right, if you're still moving, feel free to pause the video here and continue playing when you're ready to close off your practice. All right, from here, just want you to spill out into your Shavasana. And here we're seeing Shavasana as a true death, rebirth experience. Right, with the key process being surrender, right, and letting go. And the hard work is done. Now, can you surrender to something greater than yourself? All right, remain here as long as you are able to and want to. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for training with me. Place your hands to your third eye. Us and namaste. Thank you.